Right, so this is going to be the last presentation for today on a hands-on method for critical making. Sénamé is a trained architect, as far as I know, and is now currently setting up his third technology hub in Togo. And he uses these technology hubs as radical devices to question modern human societies and how we understand them. So 20-minute presentation, then we will have a 10-minute Q&A. We would continue to like to hear from the audience in our mirror board what their questions might be for Sénamé. And go ahead. Thank you for being here today.
Hi, you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for the invitation. I'm very happy to connect again with the gig community. And I apologize in advance for my English. I would like to just to share with you some elements of some aspect of a research I'm interested in right now. I would like I could not talk about everything, but it should be like just an introduction. But if I have some question, I can develop. So in the background of this project, there is the thesis that the computer age thereby puts our future under tension with an unprecedented total imperiality, the danger of which is enter in its potential for accomplish a project of annihilation constraint of the reality. And it is a project inherent in the capitalism. So there was incubated by the digital society a new alienating mode, a slight gestation at the heart of our technical age, thanks to the turn of general metropolization of the world, which threatens the future, completely renewing the springs and codes to which subjugation and spoliation had accustomed us towards their ancient form beyond time and space, slavery, serfdom, wage, labor, etc. A new situation of coloniality that I called colona to distinguish it from all the others. The most that this experience is carried forward, it is the very moral autonomy that will be subverted for an economic logic. Opinion itself is colonized in the circumstances of a distortion of reality of which we no longer experience appeased but organized with algorithm logic. Could I share my screen? Is it possible? Thank you. I'll try that. Do you have it?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. So the complete amalgamation of the machinic in the world and the algorithmization of bodies and thoughts is the movement of this new technological extremism. And I would like to approach this question with the subject of the virus. As you know, for a single neurosis center, an infection developed with such rapidity that very quickly there was not a corner of the planet that was not contaminated with it. I'm talking about capitalism, of course, but we now know that it is also in the bed of violence made to the nature by the liberal metropolization, and thanks to the leveling of communal systems deemed unprofitable, and according to the mercant circuits that viruses are formed and established. Both pandemics, natural one and socio-economic one with the capitalism, both pandemics also maintain an identity of method through the inconstancy insinuated, in the system, in all the organic system of the nature or of the traditional social structure. But it is not all with the virus. Colonists, the virus proposed itself almost more stimulating to think about with the techno-industrial cyber system industry. So what I would like to say is that with this situation we have now, what we can observe is a 3 level of virus, surprisingly embedded. You have this perturbation in the natural structure, in the biospheric structure, who give virus pathology, biological virus, but you have also a perturbation in our structure, our social structure, with this neoliberal system, and a third virus, which is what I called corona, to distinguish it with all the other form of spoliation or occupation we are used to know. And this last form of occupation have this specificity to be the occupation of the reality itself. So there is, even if this thing I'm talking about seems very, I don't know how you say inquiétant in English, there is also, it is also a sign that these 3 levels of structure, natural structure, social structure, and the technological structure, have some elements who can allow us to think that we can mix them. And our preoccupation right now should be to develop device or to develop technology who have this ambition, this ethic to mix in a good way these 3 levels of structure, not as a virus, but as a design process who is profitable for everybody. And this new design challenge is most a challenge, I think, for the makerspace. So what I see things is that you have a new revolution in design, of which only the makerspace can, can address. So the ambition that indicate us is to develop policies and innovation processes who firmly look in a strongly entangled technology in the social, and the social in the nature. So what can be what could be the resources we can use to launch this new idea of design, who don't use the old tools of measurements we used to use, and who let the place to this ambition to put together these 3 levels of complexity. And I would like to give a sort of indication with this this small animal you all know very well now, because the pangolin is suspected to having caused the crisis of our time. And this anteater is now the most poached animal in the world, ahead of the elephant, the rhino, and the tiger. And it is threatened with a silent extinction because it is a very small and inoffensive animals. Claude Lévi-Strauss considered that there are animals who are good to eat, and there are other animals who are good to think about. And the pangolin seems to be the best illustration of this idea, because it seems that eating it creates all the trouble we face right now. But in a lot of African societies, the pangolin is used for think about the world. And I will give you some aspects of all the concepts traditional societies in Africa developed by observing the pangolin. The pangolin teach a lot of traditional societies what in the African spirit we can call a non-split ideal. This idea to have everything together, because you can see the pangolin as an animal at a border. It is an anthropomorphic animal. It is the only one mammal covered with scales. His tongue is longer than his body, and he have almost a human attitude. It is an aquatic and celestial and then terrestrial creature. So it is an animal who put together all this, I don't know how to say it, in all the complexity of the world. And by observing it, people can learn about the importance to have all the spectral put together. The pangolin teach also moral rules, because, by example, you can pangolin does not breed in captivity. If he is in captivity, he lets himself die there. So the people learn about not be programming by observing pangolin, because its mathematics is only internal. He is radically resistant to any outside idea of programming. You have others moral lesson from the pangolin. People think that people see is like a quality of conscience, because they say that pangolin is the only one animal who feels shame, because when you discover it, he used to hide his head and curls up. But the most important to see is that the pangolin inspire a lot of material production, the tools people use, but also the architecture in Lele population, by example. He is also used as concept to put together the clan, and they learn they have a lot of ritual using the pangolin to create the cohesion in the clan. And all this reciprocal system of obligation we confusedly called Ubuntu right now is, by example, something you can construct by just have this animal as the center of your system of the world. And that is the fact with all those traditional societies I'm talking about. The pangolin is at the center of a system of the world. So he is seen, so people construct a very solid narrative, a very solid vision of what the world should be based on the pangolin. And it is an animal considered to be the center of the universe, the one who gave the civilization to the humans. And I'm saying all this to let you see how very surprising is it for us today that an animal who have such a big importance in the symbolic construction of African societies become now a sort of mercantile product African people capture and sell in a big industrial traffic right now in the world, and analyze that the fact that this construction, this symbolic construction, decline in the way African people see the world is maybe at the source of the crisis we are facing right now is very interesting. So to conclude, what I would like to say is that what is the function of the pangolin and all this big narrative people construct by seeing the pangolin we can call a cosmogony. The function of the cosmogony is to create a very good imbrication between the social structure and the biospherical structure, so that any action you do as a human is considered to in his impacts on the all and on the global creation. And I think that the challenge you have right now, and hackerspace, makerspace, etc., should face this challenge, is to create maybe new cosmogony who can help us to launch new way of designing, new process of designing, to have those products or those solutions who articulate not only the social ideally in the nature, but the technique, the technology, the technological logic in the social structure, and the social structure itself in our environment. And I think it is a work to do to see how can be the process, the workshop, or the initiative you can launch to build, if you are a hackerspace, a makerspace, a tech hub, your own cosmogony. And maybe the fact that we didn't think about this, to have for each of our projects or each of our ideal, a sort of fictional perspective narration who is supposed to be unsurpassable, maybe is at the origin of the difficulties we have right now to not be coherent in all this ambition we have to develop a solution who are very efficient for our times. Thank you.
Yeah, now you can hear me. Thank you so much for your input. I really appreciate how you came to this conclusion from a very different point of view, and it was also just lovely learning about our relationship with the pangolin. I am now going to open the floor for any questions from our audience. There is some questions shaping up in the Miro board, but while those are being typed up, I would really love to hear a little bit about also your practice so far. I've always been fascinated by how how, you know, maybe it is because your background is architecture, but you always think of communities, of cities, of you know, of different settlements on different levels as well. So I remember that you were telling me once about how in one of the technology hubs that you opened up, you actually encouraged people who were learning there, you know, gaining skills, to also engage with the communities around them. I can't remember if it was 1 or 5 kilometer radius. Can you tell me a little bit about how you can inspire people to engage with their environments?
Yes, it is a big question. Maybe I can answer on an aspect, which is the low tech ambition. We all have this low tech, low high tech, high low tech ambition ideal. And if the problem with the low tech is a problem of if an issue of scale. If you want to develop very efficient low tech, if you are in a big scale, it is very difficult. And so to be efficient in developing what we call low tech, you need to change the scale and create a scale which can be which can facilitate what we call in French the génie du lieu, the intelligence, which can help the intelligence to level up. So it is an example of the idea who push us to very work with the community. If you want to develop low tech, you can develop low tech in your lab as an industrial people. You need to develop at the scale with people. If not, you can have a very good low tech. You will be forced to think at a scale of which you will fatally develop industrial and very high tech solution.
Thank you so much. Scales, it's also a very important point here. And now we have a question from Reem.
Yeah, hi, thank you for that brilliant talk. And as you were talking, the kind of the pessimist in me popped up, thinking, how do we protect these ways of knowing and being from being co-opted by the capitalist nature of the innovation space and tech spaces? So we know that makerspaces, very local, very kind of in touch, we're being pushed through colonized means to be like design thinking, do design thinking. And in other instances, it was like, oh, storytelling is a big part of other cultures. So we'll just bring it in and package it in a process that is one of a capitalist innovation process. So I was just wondering from your experiences, kind of how you've engaged with that, and also within the maker spaces, how you're engaging with those different pushes.
Yes, the capitalist logic is fit very well with the modern philosophy of the West. You know, in the West system of the world, the philosophy from what in France we call Lumière, Descartes, Bacon, etc., etc. In this philosophy, you have two ruptures. I don't know if you say ruptures in English. You have two disconnection with the organic way of seeing things. The first one was this idea that a human is a slave of the nature, and to really become a human, you have to abstract yourself from the nature. And the second one was a lot in the aesthetical adventure, but a lot also in Adam Smith and all this idea of the concurrence, everybody in concurrence with everybody is the natural law of the world. So you have a first abstraction of the nature, and you have a second abstraction of the group. To be human, you don't have to be in the nature, and to be human, you have to be isolated. And this very interesting adventure of the intelligence give a sort of boulevard to the capitalism, because the capitalism use it to produce a lot of concepts you can really address and tackle, because it is based on an idea of emancipation of the human, a human who become civilized and who become very raffiné because he have his interiority, etc., etc. So all we are doing as makers, researchers, is limited as we didn't tackle the philosophy itself. And that's why I'm working on this idea to see if there is not alternative philosophy in which the human, because he is in the group and in the nature, is a best human. And if we win this battle, it will be more easier to win the battle of production and face the capitalists, because the capitalists will not have anymore this background of philosophy, intelligentsia, etc.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Reem also says brilliant. I think that a lot of the things that you're saying are just so inspiring. And so the feedback that is also happening here in Miro is one person wrote, "Thank you for raising the importance of embedded social ecological ontology for critical making. Might be something that we need to talk about a little bit more." And I'm just going to read this out loud because I think it's very nice. The Sunda/Malayan pangolin is sometimes encountered in parks here in Singapore. And the poster had no idea it was seen as the source of humanity, and they're never going to be able to see a pangolin the same way again. Thank you for the excellent presentation. Right, so would you like to maybe say a few more words about this idea and the importance of embedded social ecological ontology for making, critical making, for dismantling capitalism even?
Yes, what I used to say is that in the new technological and digital solution we have right now, we don't have complexity. We have complexification. The complexity itself is in the nature and in the social structure as the traditional societies develop them. And if you see the new technology as a source, a magma, they fit a lot with the complexity you have in the group and in the nature. So the technology themselves are good. It is the Silicon Valley who corrompt them by use them to develop device for the markets. And all the design revolution should be to create new system of value, a new indicator for measurement, which can be used not only in the labs in the Silicon Valley, but also in the design school to let the technology achieve their potential, who is to fit with social and the nature, and not to fit with the market. Because the way the new technology of digital works, because of all this cursivity, this distributivity, this the way that they don't want to, in fact, the digital technology don't want to, the performance, they don't want the performance, they don't want to be the accumulation. They fit a lot with what, by example, in Africa, we call Ubuntu. So if you take the technology, but you don't put them in a Silicon Valley lab, but you put them in another type of lab to have products, ethical products, you can achieve the real potential of new technology.
Thank you so very much. I think these are thoughts that we will definitely also take into the research in the next 2 years, and we'll be reaching out to you to learn about them a bit more, and yeah, just maybe co-ideate a little bit about how we can do our practices better as well. Thank you so much for Sénamé. I will let you go now because the time is up, but really appreciate it. It was a fantastic presentation. Thank you so much for your thoughts. Right, with that, we would go into our lunch break now, which I think is very timely for everyone. I would also recommend that everyone just gets a stretch and doesn't stare at a screen. The messages are still coming in how inspiring and thought-provoking the presentation was, so thank you for that. Right, so we will now go on a little break and we will reconvene here at 2 o'clock. Yes? Perfect. Thank you, everyone.